With that, we'll now move on to our special event. So I'll welcome up Lena Newland, who is our Assistant Director of Campus Recreation for Wellness. So Lena will go ahead and give you some time to talk. And at the end, if senators have questions, we can go ahead and do that.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay, great. I am so happy to see students. This is like so wonderful for me to see everybody's faces. I don't know about you all, but I've really missed seeing students and being around students. And it's just really wonderful to connect with you, albeit over Zoom. But thank you for the invitation to be here tonight. I'm just going to talk really briefly about some of the program offerings that we are excited to share with you through Campus Recreation and the Wellness Center. As you know, this has been a very challenging time, and I'm sure that you all of us have been dealing with some very challenging situations with our personal lives and our professional and academic lives. And we in Campus Rec have really worked hard to try and put together a really good variety of offerings for you to help not only stay physically well, but stay emotionally, mentally well, socially well. As you know, the Wellness Center is located in Half Acre Gym in Campus Recreation Department. And Half Acre is really an amazing facility that really supports students on a lot of different levels physically. We've got our outdoor program, got our recreation sports program, we've got our climbing wall, our fitness classes and personal training. We've also have our swimming pool, and my favorite part, of course, is the Wellness Center, which is what I oversee. And with the closing of Half Acre, we wanted to make sure that we still had opportunities for students to engage with us and be active with us. So I'm just going to share my screen here so you can see. I'm not able to share my screen. So I don't know
if
try again.
Yeah.
Okay.
If Hank sends permission over, that would be.
Okay. Yeah, here we go. So most everything that we have is available on our website for you to see. So when you just go straight to our Campus Rec website, the best thing to do is go straight over to this area here and click on our virtual programming page. And here is where we have a whole bunch of things listed for you to check out. And if you have not followed us on our YouTube channel, I encourage you to do that. I'm going to just pull that up right now. This is something that we just started a week ago, and we're just super excited about. So for those of you that have participated in group fitness classes, we have a ton of our videos by some of your favorite fitness instructors. You can do Latin dance with Troy. You can do yoga with Carolina. You can do Zumba with Emily. You can do strength and conditioning workouts with Kevin. Lots of different things. And we've just been working nonstop, and our student employees have been working nonstop to really get a lot of this up and running. And it's just been great. And for those of you, I don't know how many of you are like feeling like you're totally zoomed out, like you're on Zoom a lot and you just kind of need a break. We also have just a couple things called office movement breaks with Kevin that are like 3 minutes long that just allow you to get out of your chair and do some stretching and do some movement, which is so great. So I encourage you to go on there and look at some of those as a way of connecting to your favorite Campus Rec fitness staff. We also just yesterday posted a video of one of our student employees, Katera, because many of you know about our smoothie bike that we do on the first Friday of the month in the Wellness Center. Well, since we can't do the smoothie bike, Katera, our student, is doing a demonstration on how you can make a smoothie at home, and it's really fantastic and just great. And it's like 4 minutes. So I encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel as a way to connect with us and stay active. All of the people that filmed these did them in their home with very little equipment, so you should be able to do that no problem wherever you are. So excited about that. Another thing that I want to share with you is our Wellness Center virtual offerings. One of the things that we just added yesterday that, again, super excited about is this bingo card that our student employees and our wellness ambassadors helped to create. Basically, the idea behind this is to really try to look at your well-being holistically and try to do a whole bunch of different things that will keep you holistically well during this time of isolation and quarantine. And so we've got some links to our fitness videos, we've got some links to meditation, we've got some suggestions on different things you can do to be holistically well. And so what we encourage you to do is if you can, print it out and then initial and date when you've completed them. And then you can post a picture of it on our Facebook or Instagram pages and then write about what you liked about it. And then what we'll do is we'll get in touch with you and get your information on how to send you some prizes. So, because we've got lots of cool prizes that we can give away as part of this bingo card. So again, super excited about that. And then other wellness center offerings, we've just got a ton of stuff that we're doing virtually, but also that you can do at kind of your own pace. And I'm just going to click on this PDF so you can see a little bit. It's a little easier to see. Most of you all probably should be receiving our Campus Well Student Health 101 online magazine that has a ton of really great health and wellness articles, resources, and other information related to wellness. And so we encourage you to look at that and engage with us on that. You should probably, you should be getting an email about once a week with new information and articles. And then we've got every Thursday, we're doing drop-in meditation, and we're doing it via Facebook Live. And I have to admit, so I led this, and I led it on last Thursday, and I'm going to lead it again this Thursday. And I have to admit, I was pretty terrified to do it on Facebook Live, and I don't know, that's just not really my thing. But I did it, and it went okay. I didn't have any technical difficulties, and some people joined in. And now I was just looking, and we have over 500 views of that meditation that I led. So it's just been, I mean, this has been a challenging time for sure, but it's also been a really great opportunity for us to figure out different ways to connect with people and to outreach with students in ways that maybe we wouldn't have thought about otherwise. So join me this Thursday via our Campus Rec Facebook page for drop-in meditation, 12:15 to 12:45. And many of you have participated in our puppy play dates and our kitty cuddle times. We're really hoping that we can continue to promote the love of animals as a way to stay well. And so we're doing some kind of virtual puppy play dates and kitty cuddle times where we're asking people to post a photo or a video of you and your favorite furry friend, and then tag us. And then we'll post our favorite ones or a collection of the ones that are sent in every week. So that's a good way to just get some nice furry love electronically. We're also doing our Big Sky stress management mindfulness workshops via Zoom, and we've already started those, and those are going really well. Calligraphy with Kevin. This is like a art well kind of program. That's also via Zoom. We've got tons of stuff, and I encourage you just to look it up. Also want to do a shout out. I hope most of you know already about the UW food pantry that's on campus that's been all consolidated into the union. Maybe someone else will talk more about that, but all of the food pantries have been placed now into the union, the southeast foyer of the union, so it's accessible at all times. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about what the wellness center is going to provide, is offering. And I'm trying to go back and get to my main page to show you a little bit more. Our outdoor program also is getting ready to launch a whole bunch of cool things via Facebook and Zoom as well. They're doing some clinics about like how to take care of your skis. They also are doing some videos that they're showing, some films, some outdoor films, really awesome stuff that are free to you. Some of them you can just access now, and some of them you register for them. But just a ton of great things, great ideas on how to actually get outside and still do that in an ethical way to really follow social distancing guidelines. Intramural sports, also our rec sports, they're doing a bunch of things which are really exciting also. And they're doing things like, so if you've never actually participated in rec sports, this is a great time to get started. We're doing like an esports tournament. We're doing a self-directed duathlon. You could sign up for that and just kind of, you run and you bike all on your own. You mark down that you did it, and we'll send you an intramural champion t-shirt. Trail running, trick shot challenge, which I'm not exactly sure what that is. Others probably know what that is. And some golf. So intramural sports is also doing a bunch of really cool stuff, and these are the ways to get connected with them. And we're also, for those of you that are in club sports, there's also programs that that are being offered for club sport athletes to continue to support their club and their development. And I know that I mentioned our Facebook page. We also are on Instagram. One of the things we're trying to do is consolidate all of our campus recreation Facebook pages into one. So we're hoping that you will get on right now and follow us or like us on Facebook on our Half Acre Gym campus recreation page. And that way you can get up to date with all of the things that we've got going on. We also have some like Instagram and Snapchat pages that are part of our different departments within Campus Rec. So like Wellness Center has Instagram, Rec Sports has an Instagram they're real active on, and different departments have different Instagrams, but we're trying, as far as Facebook goes, we're trying to really consolidate all of our Facebook pages so that everything is all on Campus Rec. I see already that we've got some people that have liked us. So thank you for doing that. Continue to do that. And so you can kind of see some of our videos. I'll scroll down to the very embarrassing one of me leading drop-in meditation. So if you need a little bit of relaxing time, tune in to listen to my very relaxing voice for about 20 minutes on our Facebook page. So I think that's pretty much it that I wanted to talk about. Again, I'm just really excited to see so many student faces, and I'm happy to try and answer any questions that you might have. So again, thanks for having me join you.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for Lena? Go ahead and just raise your hand on the little raise your hand button. Anyone? Senator Applegate? Did I see that right? Senator Applegate?
Oh, I didn't raise my hand.
Oh, okay. Senator Titus?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to thank you for being here and telling us about all of these amazing offerings. I was curious if you were going to maybe partner with some of the RSOs that are still active. I know Exercise is Medicine is still active, so I was just curious if you had any plans to partner with them.
Yeah, that's a great question. We are definitely open to partnering with other RSOs. We, in the past, the Wellness Center has been a huge partner of Exercise and Medicine. We just finished doing our health fair with them. And so we are evolving as we speak. And this is all of the stuff that has just happened in the last week and a half, really. And so I anticipate that as we continue, we will have a lot more ideas and a lot more opportunities, and we'll be offering a lot more things and a lot more opportunities to partner with other RSOs. So if you're part of an RSO that wants to work with us, please reach out to us and let us know how your ideas on how to partner. We've always wanted to partner with people and organizations in the past, and that will continue to be the case as we go through this virtually. I also did just remember, and Aaron Lozano probably knows about this as well, could be a resource for you, is this virtual University of Wyoming virtual engagement page that's being kind of headed up through Cecil. And I'm going to just share that. I don't know have you guys talked about this already? But this is a really great opportunity to see what else is going on campus. And it's all related to all of these things: community service, health and wellness, entertainment, education. And so this is off of the Cecil website. We've been working really hard to try and get some cohesion on some of the offerings that we have for students. And so I encourage you to look at this. Here's some community service opportunities, entertainment and creative arts. So lots of cool stuff that we're really trying to just connect people and have kind of a main landing page for students to be engaged.
Great. Senator Horton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just curious. I know this isn't something you guys usually do, but is this something you guys could see yourself continuing to do, like in the summer when students go home? Because a lot of students go home and a lot of times they don't have access to gyms or personal health. So I was just curious, is it something, I know this like changed all abruptly, but is this something you guys see yourselves doing in the future or continuing to do? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I think that's a really great question. And that's really one of the things that is amazing that's coming out of this, is that we have been able to think outside of the box in ways we haven't ever done before. And I think that absolutely this is going to provide some incredible opportunities for us to reach students over the summer, during breaks, for more of our online students that are always online. So I absolutely think that there's going to be some things that are coming out of what we're learning now that will continue. I mean, we got over 500 views on my drop-in meditation. We've never had like more than 15 people show up to drop-in meditation when I lead it in the Zen Den in the Wellness Center. So I think there's some things that we're going to be doing over the summer during breaks, and even when we come back to campus, that we'll continue to do online just because of the reach.
Just another follow-up question. So are you guys going to be restrictive to just UW students, or are you guys going to offer this to the whole Laramie community or anyone who gets on Facebook? Because I know it's if you have a Facebook account, you can access it. So I was just curious, are you going to restrict it or just continue to just let it be?
Yeah, that's a great question too. So obviously, the things that we're putting on social media, those are obviously available to anyone that wants to join us. There are certain things that are going to be just specific for UW students or the UW campus. And I think in those cases, it's the kind of things that you need to register for, and then that we'll send you like a Zoom link, so that we are making sure that we're being true to the mission of serving the UW students and campus. But certainly some of the things, they're, on social media, anyone can tune into that. But some of the things will be just specific to UW students.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for all you guys do. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Senator Rubano?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Horton actually pretty much asked what I was going to, so thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions for Lena before she heads out? Okay. Well, Lena, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And if you all have ideas, as I mentioned, we are still in the very early stages of figuring out how to best reach you all. So please get in touch with us. And again, thank you for inviting me to join you. So good to see you all. Take care, be safe, and ask for help when you need it.
Great. Thank you so much. With that, we'll now move on to our communications starting with President Wilkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Fairly short report, so let me try to get through this real quick. So yesterday, VP Houghton and I met with President Theobald just for some quick updates. Nothing super major there. Sounds like administratively things are kind of mellowing out a little bit, and they're able to kind of take a breath, which is nice. I know the last few weeks have been really busy for our administrators, so obviously thank them all. But sounds like things are they're getting their feet, which is nice. As of today, there's over $104,000 raised for the Pokes Make the Difference Fund. And that's not counting the extra $250,000 of matching funds that would come from the foundation board. So that's really cool that it's already hit triple digits, less than a week in. Students are also getting their funds that we have distributed from ASUW as well. Had a couple of students who had a couple little complications, little things like W numbers got mixed up, stuff like that. But it sounds like everybody's getting their money. So that's really good. Also, just want to mention that students who did get $300 or less from ASUW aren't disqualified from this Folks Make the Difference Fund. They can still apply for that as well. Thanks to BNP and PID for letting me crash your meetings this last week and talk about the bill that we'll discuss tonight. I hope y'all saw my email that I sent out on Friday. Hopefully you read more than just the first line, but hopefully that caught some people's eye. I thought I'd try to be funny. I don't know. I'm not hip. Try to highlight mainly ASUW updates as well as other stuff going on around campus. So got a couple emails from students about stuff on there. So a couple people read it, but I know it was like 500 million words and nobody wanted to read a lot after staring at screens all week. So that's okay. Starting the process for ASUW and awards, obviously it's going to be a lot different than usual this year because they're not going to have a fancy dinner to announce ASUW and award winners. For those of you who aren't aware, the ASUW Award was created a couple years ago, named after former Vice President of Student Affairs, Sarah Ackelson. Basically, it's a chance for the ASUW president to honor and recognize at least or up to 5 students who have had a lot of leadership with ASUW or have been strong partners with ASUW in the past. So I'm working through that process. And then lastly, if you have any concerns, questions about anything going on, feel free to reach out. I'm available by email. And I'm basically always on email at this point, as if I wasn't before. So that's what I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Oh, wait, hold on. I need to take a picture of everyone, like with our screens. So if your camera's not on, please turn it on. We're all gonna smile. Give me just a second. I have to figure out the correct buttons to do a screen cap on Zoom. Hold on. Okay. Everybody ready? All right.
You guys should smile.
Hold on. I gotta try it again because there's two screens. So, all right, ready? All right, got it. Cool. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Chief of Legislative Affairs, Halversland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have a lot. Just reminding everybody that we have now, I think actually only 3 meetings left in this administration. So just be sure to, if you have any legislation that you want to get in, you don't have much time to get it in because it does have to go through 2 readings. So be thinking about that as we close out this administration. If you have any big projects you want to work on. As President Wilkins said, I'm always here over email. So if you have questions or need help, I'm always here. Other than that, I don't have a lot. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So for my report, just a few things that have been going on over the course of the past week. Our Chief of Legislative Affairs and I met with committee chairs last week just to talk about where we are kind of moving forward and what ways they can interact with their committees in an efficient and productive way to not only get good responses from them, but make sure that we get some legislation moving forward that will hopefully be beneficial for the next administration. We also have our first census meeting since school closure tomorrow afternoon. And I'll update you all on that next week, hoping to get some sort of a plan in place in terms of where we're moving next in terms of education for our Laramie community. I was on the Cowboy Connect committee a few days ago, and at that committee we were talking a lot about where we're going for orientation and for what the plan is, because we don't really know what's happening with orientation, and so what Cowboy Connect programming is going to look like for our incoming freshmen, and how that's all going to be affected by COVID-19. And that's about it. So with that, Advisor Lozano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a few small things from me. One, want to just echo President Wilkins and thanking administration for the work they've been doing. I know it's been a pretty hectic few weeks for them. And as they're starting to get their offices settled down, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, we're feeling a little trickle down there as well. So Accountant Schaaf has, in our meeting this week, informed me that she's able to get a little bit more caught up now on some of her day-to-day tasks that she hadn't been able to do just in working through all of the payments and stuff. So she's feeling a little bit more relaxed than she had the last couple weeks. The same with Advisor Wheeler, who I think can give a report later, but I know that his duties as Staff Senate President have kept him pretty busy during this time, but he was able to get some professional development done this week as well. A fun little tidbit from Aztec, they are working on putting on a virtual concert that would be recorded and cast from the ballroom in the Union. Just kind of depending on whether or not the band is able to still pull it off. But that's something that they're working on. In the meantime, their students are getting a lot of really cool training. They've got all their stuff set up in the ballroom. They're able to keep it small, 1 or 2 student employees at a time come in and get some training from Julian and Levi. And so that's really cool to see from them that they're able to get some work done during the closure. And then lastly, just for those of you who are running for office, I'm so used to students just being able to pop into the office with questions that they might have, and don't get to do that anymore. So please don't forget, you can email me at any time. If you feel like it's more in depth than that, you can give me a phone call or we can set up a Zoom meeting. But if you're having any questions or struggles with your campaign, just let me know. I'm happy to still be a resource for that. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And before we move on to ex officio communications, I see that we have Dean Chestnut here, or VPSA Chestnut, excuse me. So I would yield to you for just a few moments if you had any new updates from student affairs that you'd like to add.
Oh, sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, hi, everybody. How are you doing? Nice. Some good thumbs up. I would tell you it has been a heck of a 3 to 4 weeks, and I'm hoping that you're doing well. Let me get to business. I would share that, of course, the announcement went out last week that we'll be doing a virtual ceremony. So for those of you who had intended to participate in an in-person ceremony, I hope you will join us virtually. We are working as hard as we can to make that a really beautiful experience. There are some ongoing plans for employees. So, of course, last week also decided that we would continue to fund student employees because we didn't want them to be without capacity to exist. And so taking care of our people has felt like a priority, even though there are some natural limits in that work. We're also working on summer programming, and VP Hutton had talked a little bit about orientation and modifications there. So because a lot of our summer program actually starts in May and June, those decisions have to be made as soon as possible. And just to be real candid, fiscally, things are looking real tough in the world of Wyoming. Oil is down, enrollment nationally is down, COVID-19 affects all of that. And so, man, if you're hanging around next year, get ready for a roller coaster because that's just where it's going to be. And we'll get through it, but it's going to be a really dynamic year. And whoever steps into the president and VP role, get ready to spend some time with me because there'll be a lot to cover. And so I'm already kind of thanking you in advance if that ends up being you. And that otherwise, our faculty are reporting good things about moving online. They're feeling confident about it. And with the exception of a couple of large test scenarios online, most course delivery there has gone well. And so, VP, I would be open to any questions if there were some. Otherwise, that's kind of the quick review on where we're at, and I'm available for questions throughout the meeting.
Great. Anyone have any questions? Ex officio from First Year Senate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would ask the Vice President Chestnut if she had any idea of what the potential impacts of the increased fiscal difficulties could be, just like broadly outlined, because I know it's really hard to give details at this early date. Thank you.
Sure. So I would share that before COVID-19 happened, we anticipated a 5% decrease in enrollment because of just the natural decrease of students graduating high school in the state of Wyoming and the increase in out-of-state tuition for University of Wyoming. So before we had a, international pandemic, we were looking at a 5% decrease. What we are seeing is most institutions are now anticipating anywhere between a 5 to a 15% decrease in enrollment. And so were we not to experience more than 5%, we would be an anomaly. So that's one piece for enrollment, right? The secondary piece is because in the state of Wyoming, before COVID, oil had been at $50 a barrel, and now we're down to 20. And most of, our block grant, hundreds of millions of dollars come from our legislature, that they are to determine if another session of legislature will be called in the coming week or two. And if so, it's likely that they will anticipate modifications to the proposed budget, which we should naturally anticipate would inform the allocation to block grant to the University of Wyoming. And so that affects every division across the institution. But what maybe is unique to student affairs is that enrollment is one factor, revenue is the second. So revenue we generate from residence life and dining would be impacted with fewer students. And third, our block grant allocation could be reduced. So I default to candor. I would tell you that all three of those revenue and income generating resources could likely be at a decrease. And so we would anticipate having to make some difficult decisions regarding programming and potentially staff. So more to come as the summer develops, but that's kind of an overarching review, if that's helpful, Hunter.
That is helpful. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Senator Doran?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just was wondering, are you still planning to increase the tuition and fees for in-state and out-of-state students? I know that was going to go up. I think the numbers were 4% and 8%.
Yeah, so that is still the anticipated plan. So unless there's some modifications this summer based on other changes that happen, we are still projected to make those increases.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Senator Horton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had 2 questions. For summer classes, are you guys still planning on having some of them in person, or are those all going to go online?
Yeah, so that question is being vetted this week. 80% of our summer courses are already instructed online, and so the remaining 20% were up for evaluation. And because currently Wyoming is not anticipated to meet its peak of COVID until May or June, we are anticipating moving all courses to online for the summer. Because a lot of our courses start in May. And so it's a decision that kind of has to be made sooner than later. But yes, the anticipation is that they will all be delivered online.
So then another question, would we anticipate more courses being online in the fall of next year? And if this continues in June, if our peak's in June, should we anticipate our courses being online in the fall too?
Yeah, so good question, Senator Horton. The answer is yes, in that we are preparing to make more courses online available, like already right now. Although I would tell you, as an institution, we are deeply invested in having things return to regular volume on campus as much as possible. But there are some preliminary steps being made to arrange for additional faculty to ensure that online course delivery could be available at an elevated level in the fall. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for answering that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And Senator Rubano?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I know that Wyoming Hall the offices had been moved out and there were plans to, tear that down and stuff. Is that still ongoing, or is that on hold with everything that's going on?
Great. Actually, we are moving forward with planning. So on Friday, there's a 4-hour planning session for housing. As it stands, I have heard no modifications to demolition on Weill Hall beginning late summer. And so I might get an update on Friday that I don't have at this time. But even in the last Board of Trustees meeting, when we did facilities, there was not a conversation about modifying the anticipated student housing plans, which included the destruction of YO to allow for new building and the underground lines to be modified. So as far as I know, all gears are moving forward with the demolition to allow for housing to continue. But it's a fair question. I asked it myself. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you, VPSA Chestnut. I just wanted to give you that time in case there was anything you wanted to add.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So we'll now move on to our ex officio reports, beginning with First Year Senate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The First Year Senate met via Zoom earlier today at 5 p.m., where we discussed Senate Bill 2697, and it was passed with amendments. Additionally, we also chose our First Year Senator of the Month, so that was very fun and exciting. And we discussed First Year Senate's plans moving forward, especially since there are only 3 meetings left of this administration, and what we can do to encourage people to vote in the upcoming elections, and how we can continue to try and serve the freshman and the first year student body at the University of Wyoming, even in these difficult and changed times. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And Staff Senate?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Real quick, I'd like to put on my first year Senate advisor hat and call out Senator Swilling as he was nominated for the Senator of the Month. So congratulations to him. Back to Staff Senate, we met last week virtually, which was interesting. It was good. It went as smooth as possible. We also invited the Shared Governance Task Force to our meeting. So they conducted kind of listening sessions for about an hour, talking about where we are currently as a university and where we hope to be as staff members in the greater idea of shared governance. And then we also just had reports from admin, which were helpful. And I won't bore you with repeating the same thing that President Wilkins has said, but I would like to repeat great thanks and appreciation and admiration for everybody on those COVID task force and response teams. I think the communication and implementing these policies has been insanely overwhelming, but also I think impressive in their execution of it. So with that, I'd like to give the floor back. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to move on to committee reports, beginning with steering. And because there was no new legislation submitted, we did not meet this week. Advocacy, diversity, and policy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We met last week and just discussed some realistic goals that we could set for the rest of the semester. We decided to prioritize reaching out to some underserved student populations. We also will be moving our committee time. We'll now be meeting Thursdays at 3 p.m. via Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you. Budget and planning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We met on Wednesday to discuss Senate Bill 2697, and we will be meeting tomorrow again via Zoom at the same time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Program and institutional development.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. PID met yesterday morning and discussed the legislation that was steered to us and passed the same amendments that Senator Hoffman sent out. So we had the same things, and we are now meeting on Monday. Yeah, on Mondays at 9. Thank you.
Thank you. And RSO Funding Board.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Funding Board this week is working to electronically go over some finance policy changes that we've been talking about throughout the year. However, there are still some of you who I even have seen on this call who have not emailed me back. So if you're on the funding board, gotta email me, please, so we can try and get some written and submitted so we can get it passed during this administration. So I'd really appreciate that. And I do plan on holding an actual meeting next week. So please, please, please email me back if you're on funding board. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Student outreach and programming.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we met and the director of programming and events had an idea to do kind of like a virtual spirit thing that's kind of like a mood booster kind of. So we're trying to boost morale, and we're going to be doing an event not this week but next week. And it's going to be basically like the stay at home Instagram story thing, but for pokes. So it'll be hashtag pokes at home. And it'll be going on Monday through Friday, the 13th through the 17th. And then people who use the hashtag and tag us will be featured on our story, on our Instagram. And then the person who has the best picture will win a prize. So we're working on that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And finally, the Elections Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Elections Committee met today at 2 p.m., which is our new meeting time, to discuss the online elections. We discussed having an online debate as well as different forms of elections outreach on the online platform. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We'll now move on to college contact reports, beginning with agriculture and natural resources.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No report.
Arts and sciences.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not much is happening with the College of Arts and Science, but they're still doing grade appealing hearings via Zoom. So those of you who are senators of the Earth, College of Arts and Science, or your second major is in, they do need people in that. So if you are interested, just shoot me an email. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. College of Business.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Myself, along with a couple other RSO leaders within the College of Business, met last week with our Associate Dean, Steve Russell, at our unofficially titled Student Leadership Committee meeting that we've been having bi-weekly for this last year. We had some really great conversations about how to best serve College of Business students now that everything is transitioned to online. This included some discussion of a WIO courses group where we could push out information and resources to students. And we continued discussion of a College of Business resource template for students that we had been talking about last semester as well. But that was pretty much it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. College of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No report.
Engineering and Applied Sciences.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are going over possibilities for a virtual office hour or other ways to outreach to our college, but other than that, nothing else is going on. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. College of Health Sciences.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No report. Thank you.
College of Law.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No report. Thank you.
And School of Energy Resources.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So our school started a virtual challenge thing over our WIO course group that we have everyone in our college in. And so everyone's working on that. And it's basically just a time to kind of check in how everyone's doing and then work on like resumes and stuff like that, as well as direct them to other resources and scholarships going on right now. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. With that, we'll now move on to old business, beginning with Senate Bill 2697, expenditures of the ASUW Student Services Endowment. Senator St. Marie, will you please proceed with the second reading?
Whereas the purpose of the Associate Students of the University of Wyoming ASUW student government is to serve our fellow students in the best manner possible, and therefore be it enacted by the Associate Students of the University of Wyoming ASUW student government that a total of $230,754.69 be allocated from the Student Services Endowment, Facilities Endowment, to fund the areas of the projects outlined in Addendum A, and therefore be it further enacted that upon passage, the ASUW president shall work in coordination with the ASUW business office to ensure these units receive their appropriations before the end of fiscal year 2020, and therefore be it further enacted that any unspent monies from this allocation be returned back to the Facilities Endowment.
Thank you. This bill was steered to Budget and Planning. Can we please have your committee recommendation, Senator Hoffman?
BNP recommends I do pass with amendments.
Thank you. This bill was also steered to Program and Institutional Development. Can we please have your committee recommendation, Senator Welsh?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Program and Institutional Development recommends a do pass with amendments.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor to pass Senate Bill 2697?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Discussion is now open, and the floor is open to discussion. Senator Welsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I move to suspend the Abernathy clause.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed and abstentions. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the Abernathy clause has been suspended. Senator Welsh, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So PID discussed this legislation and the amendments that came forward from President Wilkins. Before the amendments, we thought that this was a great idea and a really good use of these funds. All these projects are specified, and if we have the money to do these things, we might as well do them. They're all very, very beneficial to students. So I guess I will move to adopt the motion or the amendments as were sent to you by Senator Hoffman.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. We are now in discussion of those amendments that you should all have. Those were sent to you, and Senator Welsh, you have the floor still.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We're now in discussion of the amendments. Is there anyone who'd like to speak on behalf of the amendments? President Wilkins?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I figured I could just go through and kind of explain the amendments. So I amended to add a couple things. So the three main things I added were for Wyoming Union Custodial and the Classroom Building Custodial, so they could cover the product for the mental product dispensers at BMP, as well as this body as a whole approved as a special project earlier this year. These numbers are based off of what they had this year and then basically doubling and then adding a little surplus for the summer. Ran this by both of the managers of the budgets in these areas and they were cool with the numbers. So that's where I got those from. Like I said, I kind of highballed it a little bit just because if they don't spend it all, it'll come back to the endowment. And then the last big one was the $13,000 for Chi Omega. Basically, over in Sorority Row, you can see into a lot of the lower level parts of Chi Omega. So back during the 105th, there was a discussion about adding some stuff over there. I'm sure Senator Welsh could explain it a lot better than I could. But this would be to fund basically adding some shrubbery, some hedges over there, so there'd be a lot more privacy for the rooms in that area. And then updated the number, and then in line 18 and 19, just explained a little more of what this would go towards funding. So those are the amendments. And I could take any questions if anybody has any. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any more discussion on these amendments? Okay. If not, we'll go ahead and take a voice vote. All those in favor of the proposed amendments, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? And abstentions? The opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the amendment passes. Senator Welsh, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I already kind of gave my committee's recommendation and discussion on that. So if anybody has any questions about that hedge, that was during the 105th. And it was just something that when we did special projects that year, that was something that was promised to, if we were to go forward with landscaping and putting that spot in that vacant lot. So I'm glad that we have kind of brought it back around. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion on Senate Bill 2697 as amended? If there are no objections, we can dispense with the third reading. And Senator St. Marie, will you please call the roll?
Senator Alrajal. Aye. Anselmi-Smith.
Aye.
Applegate.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Doran.
Aye.
Fitchy.
Aye.
Halsted.
Aye.
Hedge.
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Orton.
Aye.
Mulhall.
Aye.
Pearson.
Aye.
Rooney.
Aye.
Rubano.
Aye.
St. Marie. Aye. Titus.
Aye.
Trent.
Aye.
Better.
Aye.
Welsh.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
And first year Senate. First year Senate.
Sorry, I was muted. Aye.
Is that unanimous?
Yeah.
Great. So with a vote of 22 to 0, Senate Bill 2697 has passed. And with that, we'll now move on to our new business action items, and I will yield to our Chief of Legislative Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Both of these are really just for the senatorial responsibilities. So obviously service hours aren't going to be able to complete it in person as normal. But if you can do certain things virtually, that'd be great if you can do that. But this is just those service hours and the senatorial scholarship. So be looking forward to legislation for that next week to kind of show how we're going to allocate that. I'll yield to Senator Doran.
Thank you. What type of service hours would you like us to do virtually, just for an example?
If like I know Senator Hoffman said that they're exploring ways to do office hours over Zoom, so that's like one of the biggest things. And just like reaching out to constituents that you know of. But that's really up to you exploring that way. I don't have like obviously you're not required to do it now if this passes, but it's just an idea. So.
And I would just add to, if you have an event or if you know something that's happening virtually and you think it might qualify as a service hour, just reach out to us, let us know, and more likely than not, we'll say yes. But just ask us if you need any clarification on any events that you're considering using as service hours.
Yeah, and really, actually, I'll probably take those things off WIO courses since if this passes, if they're not required, just because that's more administrative stuff that's not really necessary. But also, like, if you have, like we heard from Lena from the Wellness Center, if you can share that with your constituents and colleges, that'd be great too, just to get the word out about those different things. So the Vice President and I are going to work to keep getting special events here to give online resources to all of you so that you can share that with your constituents as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to suspend Article 2, Section 2.02, Subsection 4, Paragraphs F through K of the ASUW bylaws for the remainder of the 107th administration.
So moved. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Abstentions? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and that is suspended. Does our Chief of Legislative Affairs need to add anything for the second suspension?
Not really on this one. This is just for the senatorial scholarship now, not just plain senator responsibilities. So again, just be looking forward to that legislation. Check your inboxes for some sponsors. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
So I would entertain a motion to suspend Article 2, Section 2.02, Subsection 5 of the ASUW bylaws for the remainder of the 107th administration.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And abstentions. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and that is suspended. We will now move on to our announcements. Does anyone have any announcements this evening? Yeah. Chief of Legislative Affairs Holversland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't really have a lot. I'm just reminding everyone to check their emails regularly. And that actual date for the last day to submit legislation is April 17th. Again, steering's meeting at 12:30 now. So that's just keep that on your radar if you do have any legislation ideas, and remember just to take care of yourselves during these times. And I hope that classes are going well for everybody. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Senator St. Marie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you guys all come in late, if you wouldn't mind putting something in either the group chat to me or to everyone, just saying that you're here so we can get the correct attendance. That's all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other announcements? If not, on. Oh,
I
yes.
can't raise my hand because I'm a host now. But Staff Senate President Wheeler would like the floor.
Oh, yeah, ex officio from Staff Senate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I forgot to mention in my update, but possibly the most impressive thing to happen in the past few weeks is my daughter has started regularly walking. So that's exciting and terrifying, and takes a lot more energy now to keep track of her. But I just wanted to share that as a accomplishment, some good news in times of bad.
We're also
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any more comments on processing? Okay. Well, seeing none, thank you all for being here. We'll see you next week, and this meeting is adjourned.